Okay, good morning, class. Today is Tuesday, April 21st, 2020, and today we're going to be adding and subtracting polynomials. So if you want to just lay out your notebook page, if you can pause it and see that. I can even turn it sideways for you for a second so you can see the bottom. Okay, these are the bottom problems. Okay, and these are the top problems. So if you pause it, look and pause it, you should be able to get the whole page all set up, ready to go. Okay, so you should be back. First, we're going to review polynomials from 7th grade and just naming them. So let's start with one that looks like this, like 2x squared. Notice there's no plus or minus between it. See if you remember what that's called when it's just one term. So it's one term. What do you call that? Okay, and then we have b. Let's do 3x squared minus 1. Once you see a minus or plus, it separates it into another term. So this has two terms. So this is two terms. What do you call that? And then c, we have 1. Now I'm going to put a plus. There's another term. A minus breaks it to another term. So this has 1, 2, 3 terms. What do you call that? Okay, they all have this ending, all right? Nomial ending. So the one term would be a monomial. Mono means one. This one would be a binomial. You've seen this prefix like binomial, more like bicycle, anything meaning two. Okay, bicycle meaning two wheels. All right, so this one has three terms. Tri, like a triangle, right? Trinomial. Triangle, like three sides. So anytime you see that, those prefix, you would know that it means three terms. Okay, so if it's just one, you call it a monomial. If it's 1, 2, you call it a binomial. If it's 1, 2, 3, you call it a trinomial. Okay, so there's this acronym name. Now that I've gone through all of them, it will help you just remember what to do when you're adding, when you're multiplying, when you're exponentiating. So let's look at this acronym name. So if you're adding, you do nothing to the exponents. So it's nothing when you add. You don't change the exponents at all. AM means you add when you multiply. So you add when you multiply. And this is like power to power. Remember I said we keep coming back to that exponentiate? So you multiply when you exponentiate. Okay, so nothing when you add. You keep the exponents exactly the same. You add your exponents when you multiply, and you multiply your exponents when you exponentiate. So let me show you an example of nothing when you add. So we'll do NA, nothing when you add. So if I had 2x squared plus 4x squared equals, you just add the 2 plus the 4, and you get 6. But you do nothing to the exponent. It would just be 6x squared. So nothing when you add. You add when you multiply. So I'll go AM here. AM. So if I had 2x squared times 4x squared, I would do 2 times 4 and get 8, and I would add 2 plus 2 and get 4. So that's what I mean by add when you multiply. I'm talking about your exponents. Okay, this is regarding exponent rules. Just write that right next to that name, exponent rules. Okay, and then the third is you multiply when you exponentiate, which is power to power. So it would be like this, 2x squared to the second power. Okay, remember you put a 1 on that, arrow, arrow, and that would be 1 times 2 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, so that would be 4x to the fourth. So you multiply when you exponentiate. See how I did the 2 times 2 and the 2 times 1. Multiply when you exponentiate. So nothing when you add them. You keep the exponent exactly the same. You add your exponents when you multiply. 2 plus 2 is 4. And you multiply when you exponentiate. So 2 times 2 is 4. 1 times 2 is 2. So that would be 4x to the 4th. Okay. Next, we're going to add and subtract. So we're going to do nothing to our exponents when we add, right? Subtraction and addition are in the same category. So nothing when you add or subtract. Okay, because remember, subtraction could always be plus and negative. So it's the same thing. All right, so let's look at our exponents. So we have this plus sign. So there's nothing, there's a 1 here, right? Anytime you have a 1 in front of a parenthesis and you distribute it, nothing happens to it. So let's just get rid of the parenthesis. Okay, plus there's a 1 here. It's a positive 1. Nothing happens because 1 doesn't change anything. So you just get rid of your parenthesis. Okay, pause and get that done. Okay, now we're going to add like terms. Put a 1 in front of this, and this one matches this one. You do nothing to the exponents when you add. So you do 1 plus 2 and you get 3, and you keep the exponent squared. Okay, now I'm going to add 3x and 4x. And that would give me 7. Again, just leave it an x. Don't do anything to it. And then you have negative 1 and 6. That would be plus 5. Final answer. All right, you can't add these two. They're not the same term. You can't add these two. So once they have different exponents like that, and this one doesn't have any, they're different terms. So you leave it alone. Okay. All right, now this is a little trickier. So let's start with the first parenthesis. There's a 1 there. 1 doesn't change it, so that's x squared plus 5. But the second parenthesis has a negative 1, right? It's a negative 1, so you have to distribute. Negative 1 times 3x squared is negative 3x squared. And negative 1 times negative 7 is positive 7. So you're going to put a 1 in front of this, and you're going to combine like terms. Okay, pause and do that. Okay, you're back. So that would give you negative 2, nothing when you add, keep it x squared. And then you simply add 5 and 7, and you get 12. You can't add these two because they are different. This has an x squared, this doesn't, so they're different. This is a binomial, right, if I asked you to name it. And this one's a trinomial, 1, 2, 3. And this one's 1, 2. Okay, we're going to practice this for a couple days. So just keep rewinding, going back over it, make sure you're clear before you do your classwork. Have a great day.